and welcome to Ultra Q. This is a podcast about watching the Ultra series in order. Today we're starting with the Ultra. We're getting into Ultraman for real. The Silverman is here. My name is Red. I am joined by Mel, who is gone.
Did you pick up audio at all?
No, I didn't pick up any audio there.
What the fuck?
I can do that. I can quickly do that again. I'm joined by Mel.
Woohoo!
Oh, that's what happened. You cut out in the middle of that. I'm also joined by Razan.
Hello.
Hello. We're here to answer a very important question. Who's that big man? So here's the thing. This is right up the top. I just want to say, if you're tuning in because you're like, oh yeah, Ultraman, I want to watch Ultraman. Stop the podcast. Stop everything. Go back. Go watch Ultra Q right now.
Go watch.
It's a good show.
It's a really good show. Everyone has to watch Ultra Q. You don't even have to. You do. I was about to say you don't have to listen to the podcast. Yes, you do. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
It's a very good show. We're gonna miss the gang. But we got a new gang. We've got
a new squad.
We got a squad. Last time we had a gang. This time we got a squad.
Next time we're gonna have 7 guys.
Yeah. Ultra 7 guys. That's what it is. So we're covering the first 3 episodes of Ultraman, but first we're covering the birth of Ultraman, but not before just mentioning. I just want to say, we started Ultraman, and it was so Thunderbirds that I immediately watched like 10 episodes of Captain Scarlet, which is the series that came after. A few weeks ago, I said I suspected that Captain Scarlet looked like dog shit because they changed the puppets and made them more realistic. I was so full of shit. Captain Scarlet's amazing. But I'm not gonna get into it right now. That's for later. But yeah, I was immediately I saw the little models flying around with rockets shooting out the back, and I was like, holy shit.
It's so funny, just me sitting with the knowledge of like just how Thunderbirds the Ultraman as a franchise is, while we kept on having inside jokes about Thunderbirds.
Yeah, I've never been so vindicated in all my life.
and then also finding out that no, the reason why there was a Thunderbirds reference in Shin Ultraman was specifically because Thunderbirds was an influence on Ultraman.
It was
yeah,
for carrying on the rich legacy that none of us could have ever imagined.
I looked up, because I watched the episodes. I immediately went and looked up when Thunderbirds came out, and I was like, oh, this is just when it aired in Japan. I was like, oh, this is just a direct influence on everything. And then Mel,
Tsuburaya just visited a Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
Wes Anderson. What's his name again?
Wes Anderson's Thunderbirds.
My apologies, Jerry.
Oh man, I want to see Jerry Anderson. Well, rip. Never mind. He can't. But I want to see Jerry Anderson return from the dead, so that he can tackle a Wes Anderson movie. I don't know which one. But yeah, we watched Ultraman. Does anyone else have anything they want to quickly talk about before we get straight into the birth of Ultraman?
Yeah. So I will say, since we're still on the topic, I decided that I'm going to be the control for this experiment and not watch Thunderbirds until we're done with at least Ultraman.
Fuck.
I think it would be very funny if I see all of Ultraman and then go and revisit like I ever visited in the first place. Go and visit Ultraman. Side note, I do think it's very funny how on Shout Factory's Roku app, which I used to watch a few episodes of Ultra Q, right beneath the Ultra Collection stuff is just the Jerry Anderson collection. Extremely funny. They knew.
Roku committing the same sin I did a few weeks ago when I forgot Jerry Anderson, the name of Jerry Anderson's wife, Sylvia Anderson, who is just credited on like all the shows after Thunderbirds, like dual credit. Like Captain Scarlet is introduced as a Jerry and Sylvia Anderson show.
Damn.
Good for her.
Interesting.
So apologies to Sylvia. Did not mean to forget your name that one time. Yeah. It's sick. You're gonna be the one thing I'll say is you're gonna be very impressed with Thunderbird's effects.
Okay.
It's Ultraman.
Okay. Fascinating. What I did see though is I decided to go see Godzilla Tokyo SOS in theaters. But doing my research before going into that, because I'm me and I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing out on anything, I learned that movie is actually a sequel to a previous Godzilla movie called Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla, which is a thing that it seems like a lot of Godzilla movies started to do after a point, which is ignore everything else in terms of continuity, except for the very first Godzilla movie.
Yeah, I think based on my understanding, like the Showa movies are all in one continuity. Then the Heisei era, they did a reboot continuity where they only considered the first movie, the original. And then after that, for whatever reason, most of the other Godzilla movies in like quote unquote Millennium era were just like, we only consider the first Godzilla movie.
Yeah. Which, like, I guess I get, because past a point, it seems like a lot of those sequels did not stand the test of time, per se, at least in, like, the big, greater public consciousness, and a lot of people just like, oh yeah, like that classic movie, Godzilla, and the other ones were probably just less accessible unless you're, like, a big enthusiast of the genre or whatever, so I get it. So, this was my introduction to Mechagodzilla. Which is fascinating to me because I don't think this is the case for normal Mechagodzilla, but the Mechagodzilla in Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla is specifically built by the JSDF using the bones of the original dead Godzilla from underwater to fight a new Godzilla.
I love Toku politics.
It's fascinating. The first movie, Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla, is about this soldier woman who tried to fight off the second Godzilla attack, and she fucked up, and her entire squad died. She got, not fired, but moved to, like, a desk job in, like, a library. Very clearly traumatized and also very clearly pissed off. This movie is about her learning to love again through the help of a little girl, which is one of her coworkers' daughters. And also through talking to the spirit of Godzilla through the robot she pilots.
Holy shit.
It's honestly kind of incredible. So I've been having some weird thoughts lately about how I feel.
Oh, I love Kingdom Hearts.
God, I was saying it and I fucking knew. I'm like, this is a Kingdom Hearts slide, but I didn't think I'd get called out. But I've been thinking a lot lately about the intersection between kaiju and mecha as genres I like. And at some point I want to revisit Pacific Rim, and I have a sneaking suspicion I don't think I'll like it as much as I used to, because I saw that movie in theaters, I was like, yeah, that's good, but I don't know how I'd feel about it now. I'm very curious. But I was starting to come to this opinion, maybe these are things I like separately more than I do together. This movie, I think, proved me wrong. It has themes from both, and I think they managed to combine them pretty well without one dominating over the other. There's just like a lot of really good stuff about what it means to pilot, what it means to be a tool of the government, and not really live your own life or really make your own decisions sort of thing. What is the meaning of life for a person like that who's kind of been weaponized? But then also themes of just like, oh hey, this monster is coming out of the sea to teach humanity a lesson. Or even humans tampering with things that probably just belong to roam about in the sea, and trying to use them for ulterior motives. Good movie. Leads directly into Godzilla Tokyo SOS, which the premise of is that Mothra shows up and goes, you did fucking what to the original bones of Godzilla? No, don't do that. Put those back. Which is excellent. The protagonist of Mothra shows back up, and his nephew is the main character, and he's not as interesting as the soldier protagonist from the first movie, but he's all right. Second movie is a lot more like monster fight focused and a little bit, I guess, more of a spectacle. It's a little less dramatic, a little more goofy. But overall, still had a good time with it. I highly recommend both movies. Even like all you really need to see is that first Godzilla movie, and I would say the original Godzilla and the original Mothra, and you should be good to go. There are some allusions to other things like Gargantuous or whatever that one is, but it's not important. They're just like, oh yeah, that happened one time. So,
oh yeah, that Urobuchi anime.
I need to go back to Godzilla watch.
I'm having a good time with my Godzilla journey.
I have recently realized that me being the Urobuchi guy and now being on a Toku podcast means I am eventually going to watch those reportedly terrible Godzilla movies.
It's okay, you can balance it out by watching Gaim, I guess.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Eventually, I have to watch other Kamen Rider first. I can't do my first magical girl anime was Madoka, and my first visual novel was one of his. So I can't complete that trinity. I can't be that kind of a Urobuchi fan. Can't do that to myself.
Do your Kamen Rider homework.
Yeah, I've still got Black. I'm gonna watch Black.
I'm excited to get to Black, but I know if I don't finish the original first and start watching Black, that original is going to be really hard to get through.
I need to finish Hibiki, and then I can think about watching Black. But also, I need to go back to my plan to watch a bunch of Sentai this year that has not actually gone as planned.
You watched some Sentai.
Yeah, but I don't really count the airing one.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair.
Also, I only watched the first episode of the news show, and I haven't seen any others yet.
Wow, rip.
Rip.
Did you have anything you wanted to quickly mention?
I have a couple things I can run through quickly. First, finished I guess it's only the first half. I finished the new Urusei Yatsura. I mean, there's much to talk about because it's fucking Urusei Yatsura.
Yeah.
It's just an adaptation of that. There were some stories in like near the end that was like focused on Lum and her space girl at friends adventure, and I was like, actually, this is not boring. This is not that interesting. And then it switched to an episode where Ataru and Mendo ruin each other's day, and I'm like, yeah, this is actually the best anime.
Yeah. The secret truth of Urusei Yatsura is that Ataru is actually a good character in the show. It's just that, he sucks. That's the point.
He's good because he sucks.
Yes.
Which is exactly why I also like Dawn Brothers.
Oh, man. Eventually.
I did like how in the last episode they did play like a acoustic version of the not acoustic, maybe like instrumental version of the first original 80s OP, so that was nice.
Oh, sick. Nice.
Yeah. So it'll be fun to like see that show when it starts again in 2024 apparently, ? What the fuck.
David Production has weird schedules.
They got horse research to do. Give them some slack.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Oh no. They have to. Oh gee, I've got to read that manga. I can't wait for that anime to happen.
CG horses, here we come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess 2024 because I guess anime production is always on fire. I am thankful we're on a podcast where we'll never cover a show with trouble productions. More than a minute. But yeah, I will also plan to go back to start picking away again at the original show at some point. But I've been failing at watching things lately. Number 2, important update on Hero Sky Precure. It is still very good.
It is.
It is thankful to exist in the year of our Lord 2023, and Precure is a good show that I can watch and feel happy about. Clapping because as of the new episode, we have our first actual mainline boy Cure Wing. Cure Wing is a real, and he is my friend. I've actually been like I feel like they've been working towards this slowly since like 2017.
You
there was,
mentioned
like-
they had like an almost boy Precure, but not
Yeah, so
not technically not. Yeah.
Yeah, and in Cure Precure Alamo, they had a villain who briefly became kind of a boy Cure for like an episode or so. And he was like, I don't know if it was just like a rumors or jokes, but people just affectionately call him Cure Waffle, and it wasn't real. And then like the year after, you have Hugto, where you have like for one episode, in later on the season, gender non-conforming, like a guy who is also like kind of gender non-conforming in a bit gets like for an episode gets to be a Precure, and it was like a big deal. It's like, oh, the first time you got like a male, or at least like a male pronoun character as like a Precure, but like not in like a real significant way. Somewhere in between that time, gender happened to me, and maybe there is a link between me wanting a boy Precure and that, but you know, just maybe.
Yeah.
And then like last year we had they tried to do the tuxedo mask thing with like black pepper and
Listen, it's really funny that every Delicious Party was so boring that literally every time we've talked about Hirogaru Sky on this podcast, it's been, damn, Precure's good again.
It should.
Yeah. I mean,
it should be a crime to make a show with the subtitle Delicious Party and have it be boring. That's squandered. Squandered.
Yeah. I mean, I think like also in an interesting way, Delicious Party is like a case study in how not to implement magical boys or male heroes into a magical girl show. Because like obviously in a magical girl show, you want to be like, you know, it's not like the world is starving for male heroes. I think that's an uncontroversial statement.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a magical girls as being a genre that is like a space for like female heroes is like good and shouldn't be undermined. But also I think like having boy cures is good for like, we can have boy magic, we can have, I guess, quote unquote boy magical girls.
Yeah. We can listen
for breaking the gender stuff.
Yeah, sometimes just make the gender a little weird. It's fine.
Yeah.
And you know, I always think it's good to explore masculinity from different perspectives and angles too. I think there's definitely a lot more room for that in media.
Yeah, like Cure Wing is definitely going for like, this is a, yeah, he's a boy, but he's also, this is a Precure, and he looks like a fucking Precure, whereas like,
yeah,
Delicious
the
Party,
last
the
guy
magical
had
boys
like
are
a
like,
cool mask and a like.
This is like a guy, and also in the tail end of the show, the guys kind of just take over the plot, and it's like, no, that's not it. Like
that's
yeah.
Well, okay. On the other hand, those girls were boring.
Yeah. But it's not like the guys were that interesting either.
Yeah. This is fair. I didn't get deep
saying,
enough.
Like you there's a difference between like having a magical boy on the magical girl team who's like, you know, existing in a way that's like, we can defy gender, and like having the magical boys be like basically overthrowing the entire like girl power thing and just being like, oh, this is a show where the guys are the heroes again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just because it's coming after Delicious Party, but yeah, Hero Sky is just a really good season so far. I am enjoying how it's like, we're like 9 episodes in and we only have like 3 of the initial team. I do like the new seasons spreading out new additions to the cast. Because before it was often you just be like, well, we just bang them out in like 5 episodes and then everyone runs the races. And it's like, I kind of like the idea of like having a few episodes where each new team member gets like time to themselves, and the dynamics, like the team dynamics, get to like explore what it's like having each additional team member rather than just like adding everyone all at once, if that makes sense.
It's been very like, you know, I'm comparing it to the Precure show that I'm watching right now, which is Go 5, which is not a bad show. I'm enjoying it so far. But the way that Hirogaru Sky introduces the new Precures, like kind of like one at a time, like introducing them like a couple of episodes before they get their thing or whatever, is it's just tight. It's just well done. It's just very like the people writing the show are just very good at their job. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, like yes 5, I've only seen like a third of it, and like it's good from what I saw. Like I want to go back to it, but like they do introduce everyone like
Yeah.
basically right away, and then like it's more after that, just being like each character and like each pair of character gets their own episodes, which is also nice in its own way, but like it's a different approach.
There's that one girl that's a rogue agent. I don't know what the shippers think about her. I don't know who she's getting paired with. Anyway,
Who? Which one?
The yellow girl.
Oh yeah. I don't know who she gets paired with by anyone. Like some of these fit into the problem with like 5 characters is some of the pairings are very neat, and then there's the one person who's the third wheel.
Yeah, the other two came with like had their destiny assigned wife. And this one girl in the middle is just like, I guess I'm just nice. I just like everyone. But yeah.
Yeah. One last thing. I beat a video game twice.
Which video game?
Klonoa, Door to Phantomile on the Nintendo Switch and also the PlayStation 1.
On both?
Yes.
Now, what was the reasoning?
Okay, so one, it's a short game, so that helps.
Okay.
Very short, like a couple hours, 3 hours or so. I was playing the Switch version, and I was like, I kind of like this, and it's okay, but also it's like frustrating and weird for reasons, and I tried looking it up, and it was like there's weird control issues that like maybe make things easier in some ways and more frustrating in other ways. So I tried the PS1 version, and then kind of just I'll be honest, we had an online class, and so I played most of the game while in lecture.
Let's go.
Mic off. But yeah, there's definitely like, I feel like the PS1 game's tighter, and I think I enjoyed it, and also the aesthetic is better because like low poly backgrounds, but like pre-rendered sprites. It just has like a nice cartoony aesthetic that's really good. Has like
that Switch game is that's like a remaster of that Wii remake of.
Yeah, so there's a Wii remake which did like a more like less cartoony, I guess you could say, character designs. Like obviously it's cartoony either way, but like there's, you know what I mean, right? Like Klonoa is like taller and the textures are more realistic kind of thing, like less pop and beautiful. And the Switch version is kind of like based on the Wii one, but tries to be more in between. I don't know if like how much being based on the Wii one, but trying to squeeze back into like the PS1 aesthetics or like character sizes messes things up.
So what you're saying is they hacked together a version for the Switch, and it's a little loose.
Yeah. It comes with the sequel from the PS2, and I don't know how different that is. I haven't tried it yet, but I did, beat the game twice. I feel like I have a complicated feelings. I feel like I should have liked this more than I did, but also I guess I liked enough to play it twice and enjoy it more the second time.
Yeah.
So I'll probably play more of it. I feel like I feel better about it after playing the PS1 version, and then maybe I also did use save states, so that probably helped too. But I feel like, even though I do feel like probably also it was smoother playing the PS1 version because like, well, I beat this, so I know what to do. So it has interesting vibes. It has like a more serious story than I expected, which admittedly I knew going in that like, oh, there's like, this game has something, and I was like, oh damn, it did have something.
The only thing I've seen of Klonoa is Korone reacting to the ending.
Same, actually.
I was like, damn, this is kind of heavy.
Yeah, I was like, there's a part in like the middle where it's like, damn, they really did this in this game, and then the ending is like, damn, what the fuck? Like I was spoiled on the thing in the middle where like something bad happens to some character, but then at the ending I was completely unspoiled on, so I was like, damn, they did that, huh? What the fuck? Okay.
I was fully expecting. I was like, no, oh no, okay, oh wow.
Klonoa was having a bad day. Yeah. Also, I unlocked like there's this bonus level, which I didn't really try much on the PS1 version yet. Maybe I'll try it more, but I spent a fair amount of time on it on the Switch version, which maybe was part of the reasons why I also wanted to try on the PS1. I'll just show you the part where I got stuck by linking the video in the chat. go look at that part where I got stuck on.
Oh, this is your tweet. but this is... Oh. Rip.
Oh.
Oh, hang on. I'm skipping through. I'm seeing the pattern. F.
Yeah, apparently it's not like only halfway through the level, but also, I don't know. I kind of appreciated them doing like, here's a challenging platforming challenge at the end of the game, because it is kind of like mechanically, kind of like a halfway between like a traditional action platformer like your Mario's or Sonic's and more of a puzzle platformer. I am into like the idea of it being like a game based around picking things up and doing stuff with the enemies, because I feel like you don't get that as much. Like, Mario 2 famously, Doki Doki Panic, etc., but like folded into the Mario canon, so like it's not like it isn't a real Mario game, but it is a game that like mechanically they don't really take after much, and like it is kind of interesting seeing something like at least like is like mechanically adjacent in terms of like, oh hey, you pick things up and do things with them. You can throw things into the background or into the foreground, because they're doing like the Kirby 64 style like 2.5D wraparound levels, where it's like the levels are not like just designed as 2D with 3D graphics, but like you're moving around a 3D environment in like, even though it's like it's 2D gameplay, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is neat. I do wonder if like sometimes being caught halfway between like puzzle and action does mean like the puzzles kind of don't work as well, where it's like, damn, this puzzle involves throwing the same enemy that keeps respawning at the same thing 2 times. Did feel like there was a lot of puzzle solutions that were like, well, I just gotta keep doing something with the same thing that keeps respawning. But, I guess it's fine. It's not like it was that challenging.
It's like dropping a portal cube.
I'm curious how like the PS2 sequel, but also the 2 GBA games, which may be more puzzle based, are. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Nice. Mal, I realize you've just done a lot of talking, but do you want to explain what the birth of Ultraman is?
Okay. Yeah. So let us mosey on over.
Yeah. Let's get into Ultraman. We have to meet the Silver Man.
We have to talk about the production history. First, before we start, this was during our break, but I just want to note that the actor Jiro Dan passed away on March 22nd. He does not play anyone in this show, but he does play the protagonist of Return of Ultraman, which we'll get to later this year. So I just wanted to note it here.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace. Also, didn't I believe I saw that and now I feel bad I don't have his name, a special effects guy that worked on a lot of these shows also passed.
Oh damn!
Specifically credited for doing the effect for Ultraman Spacium Beam.
Oh jeez,
that's important.
Yeah,
that is important.
It's a cool effect.
I'm gonna try to find that guy's name because I feel bad saying he passed away.
I'll get onto the production history for now. While you get that. All right, so to begin with. As we talked a bit about last time, and by last time I mean like episode 1 of our fucking podcast, Ultra Q was an immediate smash hit success.
Damn right.
TBS, yeah, as it should be. TBS, the Tokyo Broadcasting Station, which was like doing the deal with Super Aya, was like, damn, we need a new show by you immediately, as if this one wasn't already being made. Because you know how it is. However, much like Guan Yu when being approached by Cao Cao, TBS had 3 conditions.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. First, they wanted the show filmed in color. Technology marches on. Like we like Ultra Q. We like that it's black and white. We don't like the colorized version. I will say,
I did watch a clip of that Baron Spider episode. It fucking sucks.
This is really bad.
I will say, so far, Ultraman in color looks better than Ultra Q in color, and maybe the part of that's because Ultra Q was explicitly filmed in black and white, and
Yes.
probably later. As opposed to being filmed in color from the get go.
Was that video game with the black and white mode that's just terrible?
Yeah,
the Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Yeah. You heard it here, folk. Watch Ultra Q in fucking what's it? what's the guy's fucking name?
Kurosawa mode.
Kurosawa mode. I
Watch
forgot
Ultra
they
Q in
called it
Kurosawa
that.
mode.
Fuck off.
Fucking did. Oh man.
Oh, also, I did find that guy's name. He was Sadao Izuka, who is apparently one of the pioneering optical animation artists. So anything that was kind of like that, probably those lasers we saw in like a lot of the kaiju-focused Ultra Q episodes, we probably have him to thank for that. So
okay. Oh, so like what's it? Litera's acid.
yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, yeah. So
I just want to quickly say this is Kurosawa. No, Kurosawa did not make movies about how samurais are cool. And they continue.
Yeah. He also made more than just black and white movies, but
Oh, Ran is so fucking sick.
Yeah. So anyway, 3 conditions. 1, filmed in color. We got that down. 2, it's in the middle of the quote-unquote kaiju boom, and similar to how they wanted like Ultra Q, they try to shift it more towards kaiju fights.
Mm-hmm.
The kaiju things, they wanted like a kaiju focus for this new show, and they're even like thinking, hey, maybe we could have like a hero kaiju that like, so we just have fights. And Tsubura also seemed to himself be like, dang, we live in uncertain times, we need like a heroic figure. Maybe we should have
like some sort of capital L Lord.
You know what? Heroic's an interesting word.
Listen. Number.
There's some
3,
Old Testament shit
also...
going on. We'll get it.
There fucking is. Yeah. Anyway, well, we keep interrupting.
Sorry, Mel.
Yeah. Listen. So. Third, the condition was like, we want like to make sure there's audience familiarity going to this new show, so we want at least 1 returning actor from Ultra Q. More on that in a minute. So basically, AG worked with like the head writer Tetsuo Kijino. They were trying to come up with a concept. At first, we talked about it before in the past production history. The AG had like a show, he had one called Woo, and he was like, I want to bring this idea back because it got canceled originally while Ultra Q was still on balance. And he was like, we want like a friendly alien that helps people. We don't want a more non-violent show. But because TBS was like, we want more kaiju fights, he's like, well, I can't do this, but maybe I can do something with this friendly alien idea. And similarly, as we noted, as you will know if you have seen Ultra Q, a lot of those episodes are there's some guys who are civilians or also in the government who are just like, there's a kaiju, we got to deal with it. And so he was like, what if we had some sort of specialized squad or team that is job is specifically to deal with kaiju. I also think, this is my more aside, I think it could be funny if similarly those characters were also happened to be pilots. I don't know, might be funny. Extremely funny to me. Like, I didn't realize until after like finishing Ultra Q, just like, oh yeah, Jun and Ippei are pilots, and this is a Thunderbirds thing now. But yeah, the idea was like, we don't want to just have a kaiju fighting other kaiju. We want like the humans to have their own strength and be able to carry their own. So which is where you get sort of like the scientific special search party or whatever forming. And so taking these 2 ideas, they come together and create their ideal show. As everyone knows, Scientific Special Search Party Bemular. Starring Bemular, the friendly bird kaiju.
What?
Now.
No, wait. Okay, this was not the twist I was expecting. Continue.
Let me.
This is the future they took from us.
Okay. So also, while I'm getting the picture, I should point out that my sources: 1, Wikipedia; 2, the book that comes with like the Ultraman Steelbook.
Okay, that's a little more trustworthy.
And then 3 also, as with last time, I got the Ultra Blog DX. They have a production history of Ultraman, so I use that as a source. Thank you very much. Link in the description later. I am going to send you a picture of Bemular, which is also in that blog post.
I'm so ready.
I can't believe.
Yo!
Holy shit! I can't believe they murdered Bemular in episode 1 and said, "Nah, we're not doing that shit."
So, as Red alluded to, more on that later. Bemular would later be reused as a name. But yeah, so the idea was like, this is a bird kaiju inspired by like Garuda or Tengu, and he'd have a host member of the team, who's a member of the science team. Maybe the captain would know his identity, something like that. The TBS did like the idea of the hero kaiju. They did have an issue when they're like, if we have this bird kaiju, we literally won't be able to tell if it's like a hero or a villain. Like, he didn't look like heroic or cool enough, so they're like, change the design. So they did, but otherwise they're like, yeah, on the right track.
I'm gonna quickly say that I think Super Aya managed to anyone involved in the design of Ultraman in response to that managed to really work past that requirement with making Ultraman just a little bit weird and sinister.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. Anyway.
Yeah. The next hero was more humanoid, called Red Man, because he was red.
Hey. That's stealing my shit.
It's okay. I don't think Red Man's gender is redacted, so you're fine.
Yeah, I'm only Red Man some of the time.
Yeah. So yeah. At this point, we have like the core concept. They're still revising the designs. Over time, the design becomes less red, so they're like, maybe we shouldn't use the name Red Man, because he's like almost not red, he's more silver.
Hey.
At this point, Alt Q was still doing extremely banger, so like, man, what if we like tied this in to be like in the same franchise somehow, and we called it Ultraman.
It'll never
like
work.
Ultra Q, but a man.
The people will never watch this.
Yeah, as we noted last time again, Alt Q's budget was like 3 times as much as the standard TV show at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course I'm sure was comforting for TBS to find out that the projected episode budget was twice as much as Ultra Q.
Yo,
you can tell, honestly.
Yeah, it's oh my god. I'm gonna be talking about the ways that the models are nowhere near as like it's very charming that they tried to do Thunderbirds from scratch and it's not quite there, but they have their own shit that they are experts at doing, and it goes.
So basically, they were like, we need to cut costs wherever we can. So use all the Godzilla props, use all the Godzilla sets, do everything you can, take everything you can from Godzilla. Also, I think, I don't know if we talked about it before, but I think, from my understanding, Ultra Q was filmed on 35mm film. But Ultraman was filmed on 60mm, except for the special effects shots, which were again 35mm. I don't know what that means. I'm not a film person, but it's significant to someone, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen. This is important to note. I have actually seen people talking about why don't these Blu-rays look as clear or as good on like 4K TV sets and stuff as like the Ultra Q stuff does and all that, and that is what people will commonly refer back to as just that difference.
I mean, yeah.
So
Ultra Q just looks fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Problem, there's also just like, this is a small team of guys just doing stuff in like, not in their basement, like, but they're not used. They have their own studio, but they're also just quite liberally using someone else's studio.
Yeah.
So it is time consuming. It should be noted that those Spacian beams drawn frame by frame.
God.
Hell yeah.
The color timer, which we'll get into later on, was a thing that was added because like it was like, one, you don't want Ultraman to be invincible, so we should give him a weakness, even though he's still going to win every episode anyway.
What?
And two,
Spoilers? No.
yeah. Two, it was like, well, if we get a time limit on when Ultraman can be active, then it means we only have to like, we are limiting how much we can put money onto the very expensive fight scenes.
Yes.
And they could spend the rest of the episode doing cheaper scenes.
The light starts flashing. So, oh no, the budget! It's running out.
Ultraman's light color timer works exactly like Kanagon's yen counter.
Oh yes. Oh, they should put a fucking yen counter on Ultraman.
There was also, disagreements inside the writers' team. Some wanted like a more show still following from the tone of Ultra Q. Others were like, we want something like silly. How kaiju centric do we want these episodes, etc., etc. Also, as you may have noticed, this show is being made while Ultra Q is on the air. Unlike Ultra Q, which was basically in production for like 3 years before it aired, this show was not. It is coming in kind of hot. Filming apparently started in March, which would have been around like episode 10 to 12 of Ultra Q, so like around Balloonga or Garadama.
Yeah.
Just for knowing whereabouts we are in Ultra Q's airing. And Ultra Q is going to finish in July, so this was set for a July release.
Whoa.
Then there was
oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you be interested to know that there was an air date shakeup?
I can believe it.
What kind of shakeup we're talking?
So TBS was thinking maybe, we like kaiju, but we're looking at episode 28 of Ultra Q. There's this train, but there's no kaiju. Maybe we want something else better to lead into the kaiju show. So maybe we should just pull episode 28 and have Ultraman air a week early.
Wait, no, they
what?
skipped the fucking ending of Ultra Q.
So what happened? We'll get to it. Tsuburaya was like, "What the fuck? We are not ready to air a week early. What the fuck?
I can't believe I agree with Tsuburaya.
Can we maybe here? We'll make a pilot. We'll call it Birth of Ultraman. We'll just record a stage show, and that'll be our episode 0 for Ultraman that will air after episode 27 of Ultra Q."
Okay, hang on. What was episode 20?
Episode 28
the fucking walrus one.
Yeah, episode 27 was the walrus one with the play. So episode 27 of Ultra Q, the plane with the walrus. Then we get the Birth of Ultraman the week after. Then the actual premiere of Ultraman the week after that. And then episode Q of Ultra Q was only aired in December between episode 28 and episode 22 and episode 23 of Ultraman. Between that week, they aired the finale of Ultra Q.
What?
Wait, no, sorry, say that again. I tuned out for a second there, but you said something absolutely ridiculous. What was that?
So they pulled the last episode of Ultra Q. They hastily made Birth of Ultraman in its place to follow the last episode of Ultra Q, episode 27. Then they aired Ultraman, and then in the middle of Ultraman's run, between like episode 22 and 23, in December, like 6 months later, they aired the last episode of Ultra Q.
Man, it's not right. Here's the thing. It's not the best episode of Ultra Q, but come on. Like, it deserves better than that. It's fucking, like, they thought the train was less cool than the walrus.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep it real with you. I also think the train is less cool than the walrus.
I forgot your rankings already. But, we have the receipts, I guess. If you want to go back to our
I remember the walrus getting surprisingly high. Rasmus was just like, it's just a walrus. It's amazing.
Yeah. Listen,
the walrus is still one of the funniest.
Listen, I like really dumb things more than I probably should.
It was so the thing is that's not a bad finale episode. Episode 27 is not actually that bad a finale because you get Jun and Ippei being heroes. That's fine.
Yeah, it's a good finale episode.
But why is the walrus there? I don't.
Yeah. So, as you might imagine, more on that in a minute. Episode Birth of Ultraman was rushed and seen as a disappointment internally by the staff. However, the audience warmly received it because in this bizarre stage show, they also just snuck it. Well, not snuck in, but they also included like 30 seconds of footage from the actual Ultraman show, and everyone's like, "Holy shit! This is the coolest thing ever!"
Yeah,
and that was enough to make people go, "Oh shit!" Because unlike Ultra Q, which had like 2 years of advertisement, this show was like had like nothing, and basically all people knew about was like, "Oh hey, it's the next show by the Ultra Q guys."
Oh, so it was just big fucking secret, and then they just throw Ultraman up on the screen and just go, "Look, it's a silver man. He's fighting the fucking kaiju now."
Basically,
that explains a lot, actually.
Oh man, to be honest, yeah, I would also pop off like this
because my assumption going into that was like, there was Ultraman stuff already being filtered out in terms of advertisement and stuff. But if that was a big reveal, that changes things. Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, Ultraman premiered and became like, if Ultra Q was a smash hit, then Ultraman premiering was like that times 1,000 in a way. Like, it was even bigger, more immediately a success.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because of the early success and profits, and hey, would it surprise you to know that this show had even more toys and merchandise than Ultra Q?
You know what? No. I'm not surprised at all.
That was one of my notes as soon as we finished episode 1, is like, the toyetic storytelling is here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy my kid the goofiest tie in existence.
So all this money meant that Tsuburaya had more resources for later in the show, because here's the thing, the show was filmed in 13 episode batches. They were definitely still filming while the show had started. And as within each 13 episode batch, the Ultraman suit gets like revision and revised, so it looks nicer. We'll see that as we watch the show. I won't bother posting pictures because we'll get to it. But yeah, the helmet, I'm sure you notice how kind of rough the helmet looks in.
It does, yes.
This episode.
Yeah.
They smooth it out. It gets better in the later episodes.
Also, I can just, not to be crude, the zipper is not done all the way up in episode 1. I can just see his ass.
It's worth noting, TBS was like, "Hey, can we get more Ultraman episodes?" And Tsuburaya was like, "No, we are on fire. This is killing us. We just came off of Ultra Q and immediately started doing Ultraman. We need a break." Also, I don't know how much time they had between Ultra 7 and Ultraman, but I guess we'll find out in a few weeks when I'll research the direct connections to that. But yeah, so basically they were given, like, you could do more episodes of Ultraman, but they didn't do the take the poison pill that I guess Macross did.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some notes. Suit acting. Ultraman is played by someone called Satoshi Furuya. I don't know much about what he does, but maybe we'll find out more about him later. There's a guy called Haruo Nakajima who was the actor for Godzilla suit up until this point.
Oh, yeah.
And they brought him on as, like, both to play a lot of the kaiju, and also he was also the fight choreography guy.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know about him because the briefest look at any production history of Godzilla, the first thing anyone will tell you is, "Hey, this guy kept fainting in the suit because it was too hot."
Oh.
Yeah. I should hope that the fucking Baltan suit was less deadly to him. But anyway,
I hope Boltan. Anyway, I hope Boltan comes
there
back.
was a guy called Toru Narita. He designed most of the kaiju. Also designed Ultraman. He'd get like sketches and then take creative liberties when like doing the suits, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, kaiju would have names, but then the names would just be changed around or not have names, and then they'd be added as the names last minute. Things were going on in this show when they were making it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why apparently, like, I won't say specifics, but apparently there's like kaiju which have names like, oh, this is the space dinosaur kaiju, and you like look at it, it's like, that's not a fucking dinosaur. What are you talking about?
So they're like badly. They're like when Pokemon descriptions are just bad. They're just like there's like yes, it's the this that Pokemon.
Presumably the description was originally for a different kaiju, and then they just changed it because the name sounded better for this kaiju kind of thing.
Yeah.
Finally, as alluded to above, we got some returning actors from
We do.
Yeah, we do.
So to start, to get one out of the way, there's an actor called Sendaya Dokumamushi. He plays no one in Ultra Q. So I'm just going to put him at the top, but I mentioned him because he's part of the Scream, so not excluding him. He plays in Ultraman. He plays Daisuke Arashi.
Oh yeah, the heavy weapons guy.
Yeah. So he's a newbie. He's a newbie, but still part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Next,
he has the spider shot.
Sure does.
Why is it called that?
Next.
Anyway, continue.
Susumu Kurobe. If you watched Ultra Q, you may know him as Kimura from episode 8, Terror of the Sweet Honey.
Oh wait, hang on. So who's he? Which guy is he from the Terror of the Sweet Honey?
He was the guy who was angsty but like didn't do the bad thing. He was the guy who lived.
Oh, okay.
He was the guy who got the girlfriend.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He plays our protagonist, Shin Hayata.
Yeah. A man who keeps missing all the Ultraman fights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just not there.
Funny. Yeah. Next, Akichi Kobayashi. In Ultra Q, he played, I think, Lieutenant Colonel Amano from episode 19. Challenge from the year 2020.
Yep, he did.
It's the man from Kamen Rider.
Yeah, it is.
He has it somewhere in his contract that he has to have a pipe.
Yeah.
Clearly.
I'm happy you noticed that too, because I was like, this guy's just always smoking a pipe.
He's in Ultraman, he plays Captain Toshio Muramatsu. So he's like the leader of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Next, the other real MVP, Masanari Nihei. In Ultraman, he plays Mitsuhiro Ide.
I'm glad you identified him as MVP. He is instantly my favorite.
The reason why he's also the MVP is he didn't play like a major role in any Ultra Q episode, but he plays several minor roles.
Okay.
He is the milk truck driver in episode 2, Goro and Goro.
Oh.
He is one of the bank robbers in episode 6. Grow up, little turtle.
Let's
go!
And he is the assistant to Daddy Walrus in episode 15, Kanagon's Cuckoo.
That's amazing!
Yeah, so...
if you haven't watched Ultra Q and you're confused about what Daddy Walrus is, this is your punishment for not watching Ultra Q. Go watch it!
We will not elaborate if Daddy Walrus is different than the other Walrus.
Yeah.
And finally, the girl of the team.
Yeah.
Hiroko Sakurai. In Ultraman, she plays Akiko. Hold on, fuck.
It's Akiko, I think.
Akiko Fuji. I don't know why I'm messing it up. Anyway, in Ultra Q, she plays a small role known as Yuriko Edogawa. Maybe you heard of her.
Yeah.
Motherfucking Yuriko. I hope she gets to be more than just the girl. For now, she's just the girl.
She sure is the girl of the team.
Yeah.
On this show. So far, not as good a character as Yuriko, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, she lacks Yuriko's unhinged need for a scoop.
Yes.
I will always remember that episode where Yuriko meets a child who's trying to find his lost dad, and she's like, "Oh, damn, a news story."
Yes.
And with that, I finished my production history, as mentioned before. Sources: Wikipedia, the Mill Creek Steelbook Handbook, and Ultra Blog DX. So thank you to, I guess, everyone who worked on those.
Nice.
More to the one person who did the blog than like the corporation stuff, but
So thank you very much for that. The thing about the birth of Ultraman is it's a stage show. It's a man claiming to be Tsuburaya Eiji is introducing a new show using the success of Ultra Q as a springboard to create Ultraman. There are a bunch of like popular Ultra Q monsters out to play. But the fake Tsuburaya, Venom Tsuburaya, teases, as Razan called him.
Yes, Venom Tsuburaya completely fooled me.
Yes, fooled me too. I was like, oh damn, you know what, Tsuburaya's alright. I like this guy. He's having fun.
I feel like I know what Tsuburaya looked like, but for whatever reason, maybe it was the magic of cinema, maybe it was the poor film quality, but I just couldn't tell.
It was that one edit of Tsuburaya in the sky of that one video, that one clip of audio that Razan posted on Twitter about him maybe turning born-again Catholic because of Ultraman. And I said, yes, Tsuburaya smiling down from the sky, and you've edited his face over the sun. That was the only time I'd seen what he looked like before this.
That's also the only time that, like, I've really seen his face was grabbing that photo, and, like, completely forgot. Like, just, like, it did not commit to memory. So when this guy showed up, I'm just like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So Venom Tsuburaya teases some new Ultraman monsters, and the Three Stooges show up to steal a kaiju. In the process, I get owned. Quick aside here, because this hasn't come up on the podcast yet. A couple of weeks ago, we got an email. We recorded a response without really being sure we wanted to answer it right then or wait for the finale, and so I was cutting around, like, umming and ahhing, and us laughing at some, like, extended bits, which, by the way, in hindsight, very audible. That the audio's hacked together would have been less embarrassing to just post the whole thing unedited. Lesson learned. That's besides the point. The point is, despite gutting that section, I left in the bit where I said the words "Britain doesn't have cryptids" like a fucking moron. And one of these robbers is, like, immediately talking about the Loch Ness Monster, and I'm like, yes, I get it, I know, I'm owned.
I was also thinking about that.
I also thought about it immediately.
Yeah. Oh man, I saw it, was just like, oh fuck. There we go again. So I get owned, and then the Three Stooges get owned because their plan is to steal a kaiju. What? Loads of Ultraman monsters are released, and Tsuburaya calls in the SSSP, a special force that is definitely not the SDF. Like, it is, like, they are so not the SDF that they are the Japanese branch of a larger organization with its HQ in Paris.
They are very explicit. It is not the Japanese military. The organization is based in Paris. It is just
They just work with the SDF very closely.
Yes.
Let's not consider the ways that, like, Western powers have military bases, and, like, the way Japanese power is linked to American power.
Listen. The point is, they got the wildest fit I've ever seen. It gets wilder when the color hits in episode 1.
This broke my brain, but immediately I was thinking of the fucking Gundam 00 uniforms.
What? Hang on.
Like, look up the Celestial Being uniforms.
Yeah. I'm looking at
They're different enough, but it's the same vibe.
There's a through line.
Ow.
I see it.
And I just elbowed my desk.
I don't know why I said ow. I said sympathetic pain.
Setsuna F say, I am a kaiju.
I am a kaiju. Yeah, that's me. I see the Celestial Being thing. The Celestial Being lacking the... lacking the tie with the biggest plastic tie pin that flashes in the world. But yeah, the SSSP is introduced. They are, as we have introduced them, Muramatsu Toshio, Hayata Shin, Fuji Akiko, Arashi Daisuke, and Mitsuhiro Ide. Ide is my favorite. We'll get to why.
He's my favorite too.
But the general point of this is the SSSP come on stage and start fist fighting kaiju, and it's not enough, and they call for Ultraman, and there he is. He beats the bad guys and vanishes, and everyone wonders where he went. No matter. Before the show wraps, we've got time for one last reveal. Venom Tsuburaya is an imposter. He's not the real Tsuburaya. They chase him off and bring the real Tsuburaya on stage from the crowd. There he is. That's the guy. Anyway, that's all I got in terms of summary for the birth of Ultraman.
Yeah, I had a good time with this. It's like ridiculous and fun and dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It is just fun, just having like, the kaiju are just coming around. There's Ultraman. He's descending from the staircase to beat up some guys. It was amusing hearing the uncontrolled malice of the children in the crowd.
Yeah.
They baying for blood.
I also think it's funny because this is obviously a thing meant to like be an advertisement for the show airing next week. You got the characters on stage just being like basically pitching to the crowd that Minovsky article tweet that's like a new monster every week.
Yes. Oh man. I had because of the fact we're gonna get a new monster every week, I had a brief theory that got immediately the most shot down that a theory has ever been shot down. We'll get to that in episode 2. But yeah, I like the birth of Ultraman. It was very silly. I was like, why the hell did you make this? Finding out why they made it, very funny.
Yeah. I have 3 notes for this. The first one, I'm gonna keep it simple. If I was a kid and got to sit in on this, I would have had the fucking time of my life. This seemed like a really...
What was up with that one kid who just seemed like he just like whatever? Like, come on, this kaiju.
He's like 13. He's like this is too dumb for
He's
me.
getting to the age I was at, where I was like, I don't like anime. I only watch the deep shit like Evangelion and Death Note. That's this kid.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny how every single time, like, the robbers or anyone involved tries to get, like, a kid to, like, engage or whatever, they pick the shyest children in the world who really do not want to answer. It's kind of funny. Honestly would have been me, but, like, you can tell that the kids are having the time of their lives when, like, the actual, like, action stuff starts up or the special effects. Like, the kids are super into it. I would have, I think, enjoyed this quite a bit. Where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of, like, I view stage production stuff in general as a huge blind spot for me that I would like to develop more of an appreciation for, just because growing up, I never really had the opportunity to see, like, theatrical stuff outside of just, like, whatever my school or, like, that sort of stuff would put on. I did manage to, like, catch Phantom of the Opera on Broadway when I was a little bit older during a New York trip, and I was like, oh, like, I get it. Like, this is really cool. But just, I never really had the opportunity to see that type of stuff, so I think seeing something like this as a kid would have blew me the fuck away, especially as Mel pointed out. The fact that the Ultraman thing was more of a reveal, I can't imagine the excitement that would have generated, for kids at the time.
Yeah, I feel like this... seeing Ultraman for the first time in, like, that any audience member would have seen him for the first time, and you're a kid, and you're just being like, what the fuck is this guy? The coolest alien man. He's a kaiju, but a good guy, and he fights the kaiju. Absolutely lose my mind, is probably how it felt.
Yeah, I also am curious, too, because they get Venom Tsuburaya up on stage, and they're talking about how they talk about him as if he's this well-known monster wrangler, and it made me wonder how much, like, cultural pull did Tsuburaya just himself as a person have at this time? Like, was he a well-known quantity as a creative talent?
I mean, it's hard to tell, but there had to be at least some knowledge that he was the guy who did the effects for like all the big.
Yeah,
probably.
Like, he like Godzilla doesn't exist without, like, not in the same way without
like
his influence.
Like he's not the guy who plays Godzilla, but he's the guy who helped like bring Godzilla to life, and that's like a big deal.
Yeah,
and he did that for Rodan and Mothra too, which is like, you know, lesser extent, but still a big deal in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that was something that I was like, I always wondered if he was more just like a background element that like within the industry people knew and were willing to like work with and give stuff to, but no, very clearly like people like.
Because I think he's the guy on Godzilla who's like, no, we're not doing stop motion. We're putting a guy in a suit.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to remember, but to like the Ultra Q production history. But I feel like they basically like TBS like went to hit. We're like, we want to get the Godzilla special effects guy to make a special effects show for us because he did the fucking Godzilla thing. Mm-hmm. Like, we want that guy for our TV. And that was like a big part of like, and that I imagine they had to like factor into the marketing of the show.
Yeah,
and like this is a lot of speculation because, and this may surprise the audience to know, but we were all born after the 60s. So
see, because there is a difference there though that I guess we just don't have access to, which is, was it marketed as from the people that brought you Godzilla versus from Tsuburaya, the genius, you know what I mean? But very clearly this was written like, and obviously this is a thing put on primarily for kids and their parents showing up, but they are assuming a familiarity with who Tsuburaya is. You can feel writing this that you can absolutely like tell like, oh, okay, no, they know who he is. And then the third thing, this is a minor point, but Ultraman beating up Kanegan feels weird. He's just a he's just a child.
The inclusion of Kanegan in the stage show, I feel like, has more to do with the fact Kanegan was probably just
he's like, popular. Yeah, but it's very funny we're like, already seeing the Kanegan being thrown in the rogues gallery.
You kids love Kanegan? Come to the birth of Ultraman and watch him get beat
It's also funny that like like of all the kaiju they include as like the representative of the Ultra Q kaiju team, there's M1.
Yeah,
I know. I saw M1. I was like, "What are you?
Get the fuck back out!"
He's on a team
stage.
And it's just funny. They're like, "Oh man, the Ultra Q kaiju and the Ultraman kaiju are fighting. What are we gonna do?" I feel like they just dropped the name Ultraman as like, without like being like, oh, who is Ultraman? They just dropped the name Ultraman as like, oh, that's the show that's coming, without ever really revealing who Ultraman was until later.
Yeah.
Also, just like more tying back to like production side stuff for like Ultra Q, but I found out that like you can tell a lot of the episode, because as we thought, there was a lot of episode restructuring where we have like early episodes in production airing later. Like when we talked about like the big giant man episode as being a thing that feels like it should have aired earlier.
Yeah.
Turns out, a lot of the more kaiju focused episodes were made later on, and a lot of the Ichinotani was not as much present in the later filmed episodes. So when Ichinotani is in an episode, he's probably been in an episode that was filmed earlier.
Okay.
The crew realized he was evil in real life.
Yeah.
And they had to kick him off the set.
He got arrested at some point because they found the bodies.
That does make me wonder if like the finale of Ultra Q was like filmed really early on then, but
oh, that's true.
Because like no kaiju, Ichinotani is there, and you know.
Interesting.
It is also, as much as I do like it as like the bleakest ending to it, it's like, man, but it's like, it is a weird ending to a show.
I just can't imagine being like a typical Ultra Q fan back in the day where it's like, oh shit, another episode of Ultra Q after so much Ultraman, and it's that, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder how much like, I'm curious how much like Ultra Q was like actually. I didn't put it in the summary because I wasn't sure like of the confirmed facts, but I wasn't sure if like Ultra Q itself was like cut short so they could do Ultraman as the next thing. I would need to do more research on that, or if someone send me info or something.
Yeah. Well, do we want to talk about Ultraman for real?
Yeah.
Yes. The Silverman is here.
Yeah.
Here to stay.
The Silverman is here to stay. Let me tell you about Ultraman Episode 1, aka Ultra Operation Number 1. Hayata Shin of the SSSP is having a weird day. There was an orange orb chasing a blue orb, and it was his job to get in Thunderbird 1, chase them both down to keep an eye on these UFOs. But then the orange one crashed into him, and they both plummeted to Earth as the blue orb sank into a lake. Now Hayata's talking to an alien from the M78 Nebula who apologizes for obliterating him in the crash. The alien offers to become one with Hayata, letting them both live in one body and protect the Earth using this beta capsule.
I hate to interrupt already, and Red, you already apologized for being crass, and I feel like I already have a history of saying the most cursed shit on this show. I am sorry.
Oh, no.
I lost my fucking mind when the very first shot we have of Ultraman, it really looks like it's a blowjob angle. It's... I'm sorry, but just...
I guess that explains why Hayata got the beta capsule.
Become one with me, Hayata.
Oh, no! But just, that was my first note. I was like, oh, Jesus, that's quite the like, he is looking down at the camera from a POV shot in a way that just made me go like, huh, okay. That's how we're introducing our hero. All right.
It doesn't zip up from the front. It only zips up from the back.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Razan.
Anytime.
Ultraman's first task with hang on, I've spoiled the ending of the episode. The aliens' first task, together with Hayata, they must destroy Bemula, the kaiju in the blue orb, which is the previous name of what Ultraman could have been. By the time Hayata awakens, what was he gonna say?
Oh, I was just saying, this Bemula is not a bird.
No, it's not a bird.
They must have just been like, the name sounds cool, right?
I mean, yeah, like I said, they just tossing names around willy nilly at this point.
By the time Hayata awakens, his comrades from the SSSP have already been mobilized in response to a call from some campers who saw the crash and the blue orb sinking into the lake. And the only guy with a camera tripped on a tent line before he could get a photo. Hayata calls the team and asks them to deliver a submarine. It's fucking Stingray. Anything can happen in the next half hour. Underwater, Hayata launches torpedoes at Bemula to drive it above water. There, it gets shot with missiles by the rest of the SSSP in their jet, driving it underwater again. This game of ping pong continues until... Is it Bemula or Belumar? It's one of the...
Bemula.
I keep writing it as Belumar, and that's not correct. This game of ping pong continues until Bemula has had enough and throws Hayata's submarine out of the water. This is sick. He uses the beta capsule, transforming into a giant silver and red alien from the M75 Nebula. He grapples with Bemula on land until Bemula flees back to the orb for safety. Big mistake. The Silverman has the power of God and Toku on his side. He fires the crucifix cannon, dealing 8 quadrillion holy damage and exploding what remains of Bemula into tiny pieces. Then the Silverman flies away, and the SSSP is stunned. Hayata emerges and asks if he missed anything. They decide they need a name for their knight in the latex armor, and Hayata suggests Ultraman. The end.
Somewhere along there, the tag along child asks if Hayata is dead, and the captain looks him square in the eye and says, "No, he's too good of a man to die, and I think there's something about God in there."
Yeah, I think he specifically says, because I got that note too. Let me see. Looking through my own notes.
I'm going to tell you right now, I have a note in the summary for episode 3 where I say I mentioned that I've completely forgotten about the kid in the previous 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Remember in
do have the
episode
kid.
1 of Ultra Q where we're like, oh, this kid's gonna be around with the gang? Well,
He was not.
Yeah. Yeah. The Captain Muramatsu says, "God will never abandon Hayato, a good man like Hayato."
yes.
God will never abandon a good man like Hayato. He did
I
not.
do think it's funny that the kid, I think it's like Isamu Hoshino, is the name.
Mhm.
He's introduced in the Birth of Ultraman stage play as their mascot.
Yeah!
He is.
They call him his...
This is our mascot. A child who, maybe has parents somewhere.
Fucked up how they
So-
didn't square him and kind of gone off for a fist fight in the battle.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Child on child violence.
How are we feeling about the SSP uniforms now that we see what color they are?
Classic. Incredible.
They're goofy in a fun way. They look really silly. I think the helmets throw me for a loop more than anything with the actual uniform. But
The giant flashing plastic tie pins are so good.
I like the name Science Special Search Party.
I will never
Yeah.
remember that.
Nah, I won't. It's okay. They're
They-
the SSSP.
Their
That's fine.
HQ is in Paris.
Yeah.
They're
I-
French
it's a Japan
organization.
branch, so it might just be in Japan.
Oh well, yeah. This is true. The blue casual thing does extremely have the vibes of like, like a resort staff type of thing. It's extremely. The vibe is very strange, but I do like the moment that I saw the tie on the uniform. I was like, "What is happening here? This is a lot." They have a real firefighters vibe, is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except the fire is kaiju,
The fire is kaiju.
which I guess makes sense if you like think of like kaiju as disaster movie analog. Then
Now
And the way you fight fire is with missiles.
and lasers, laser pistols.
Yes.
Actually, on that note, I know that we discussed this previously with our prior Thunderbirds comparison coverage, but seeing this monster get tag teamed by that submarine and that like jet, I was like, oh, yeah, I understand Star Fox now. Like that is what this is.
This is okay. I'm not familiar enough with Star Fox.
I mean, I will say that Miyamoto is explicit in saying he liked Thunderbirds.
Yeah. And I can definitely feel it from this, where it's like, okay, there's a through line here, which was really fun for me. One question I had, and I immediately, so I had this thought, and then I wondered if maybe I'm just too modern media poisoned. Is this supposed to actually be the same world as Ultra Q? Because when they show up and they're like, oh, a giant fucking alien thing fell into the lake, and the SSSP are like, really though? And then the cops are like, no, yeah, we saw it too. I was like, I'm curious if we're supposed to be thinking of this as a follow-up to Ultra Q in that way, or if we are supposed to think of this as a clean slate.
So in my research, I feel like I didn't find much conclusive. I think the answer is maybe. There is something that I saw that I don't know if it's like talked about later or if it's just in supplemental stuff, but I saw a throwaway comment somewhere that I don't have a good source for that Ichino Tani founded the SSSP. And
Hell yeah.
and I want to have that in writing somewhere so I can actually confirm this because
I don't care if it's in writing anywhere. I'm believing that. I don't care if it's extremely wrong. That's my belief. He started the SSSP and then immediately got arrested and taken to The Hague for the worst crimes against humanity.
Goddamn thing I've heard all week. I was not prepared for that answer.
He found it. He went to Paris to found it because he thought it would be quirky.
Yeah, like, that feels like something that gets explained on, like, the back of an action figure package or something.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's great.
I think we can maybe assume this is, like... similar to, like, Shin Ultraman is like, whoa, Ultra Q happened, then I guess similar... We can probably assume so.
See, because that was also what made me wonder, is the Ultra Q stuff being the lead into the Ultraman stuff in Shin Ultraman, like, a fun little, like, history... loving reference, or is that supposed to be like also tying back to what was actually the case for the real show? And then also, I guess, even too, the show's intro has the Ultra Q logo being wiped away from, like, by the Ultraman logo.
Does.
So
Yeah,
there was just a lot of me wondering how much am I supposed to be tying these things together, but then also the show is tying things together, so I mean,
the
interested.
Whether or not it is tied together, I could believe that in response to 28 episodes worth of plot of Ultra Q happening, that someone in the world decided, okay, we have to create some kind of fucking organization to deal with this shit.
Exactly.
We can't just rely on the same two pilots that get hired by the same newspaper company all the time.
That being said, I do
like,
think it's funny... For that organization to actually show up and immediately having some weird shit happen and then going like, did it really happen though? And it's like, what are you doing? It's your job.
Oh man, it's funny. When we have talked very little about Hayato going full Silver Man. He fights Bemila. It's not like, the thing is,
he does so long, Bowser.
Yes! I noted that too.
The thing is, the fight I actually popped off for is episode 2.
Yeah,
so that fight's fucking sick.
This I will say, when I saw the water effects in this episode, I was like, oh shit, this show actually looks good.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true.
The planes are definitely like goofy, and I have a fondness for them. Like, maybe compared to Thunderbirds, they're really lacking, but just like the set design looked pretty good in my opinion. I was like, oh man, this show looks good. It's not gonna necessarily look bad because it's in color.
Yeah, the thing that I had to say about the comparison with Thunderbirds is that I find Thunderbirds is not the first show that the Andersons make. It is like it goes like Four Feather Falls or something, which is a Cowboy one, and then it's like Supercar, and then Fireball XLR, which is just Stingray in space, but Stingray comes afterwards, so Stingray is just Fireball XLR underwater, and then it's Thunderbirds, and like at some point, like I think prior to Stingray, they get moved to like a bigger studio. This is like banger after banger, like big successes, that they are getting. This is the model stuff is their field of expertise. So when I put it in comparison with Thunderbirds, it is, to be fair, not a fair comparison at all. Thunderbirds looks fucking... When Thunderbird 2 lands somewhere, that's the fucking coolest shit you've ever seen in your life done with a model. But the little rockets coming out the back of their jet thing it's very endearing in terms of, like, you have attempted to invent... You watched Thunderbirds, like, 6 months ago on TV and have tried to invent it from scratch. And, you know, they haven't done a bad job. It looks, you know, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That was my big thing with this first episode is, one, I immediately was like, holy fuck, Ultra Q made them a lot of money. Like, they are just throwing money at the screen with all of these sets and the miniature work and all that stuff. And what I realized, because I had some fear going into this that the transition from black and white to color, things were not going to look as good. They were not going to be able to sell things as well. To my surprise, it's like, no, this looks great even in color still. And I do think that what they do lose with the black and white is a sense of suspense and mystery a little bit, but I also think the show itself is maybe not as interested in that with their alien threats, so it ends out working well. This is much more of a spectacle thing.
They traded the Q for the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the
I
worst
do think-
possible ending for the LGBTQ movement.
Damn.
No. I think it's interesting hearing Ultraman speak and having that fucking weird alien haunting voice. He's
Yeah.
being like, oh yeah, that's the voice of the hero, his creepy laughter. And then me being someone with modern Ultraman knowledge and cut to the year 2022 or so, where I know that in modern media, Ultraman is just voiced by Takahiro Sakurai.
Oh. Okay.
Admittedly, probably not anymore.
Yeah.
But
When's Ultraman affair?
Oh man.
Oh no. No.
Listen, right, you can't do 10 years. You can't marry the 10-year affair. What are you doing? What are you... Ridiculous.
Secretly double married for 10 years.
I was hearing about it online and I was like, man, it's wild that people react this much to an affair, but like, okay, the drama happens sometimes, whatever. And then I looked up what it was, I was like, what are you doing?
McGillis Farid moment. Anyways,
I now we have to associate McGillis with Ultraman.
True.
I mean, my thing that I have him is he's the bad guy from Psychopath season 1, I think.
He is also that.
He's also Cloud. Oh God.
There was...
Not in the version of the game I played. That didn't have voice acting.
Well, clearly you haven't watched Advent Children.
No.
I mean,
I'm gonna be honest. No. I'm good.
I'm also good. There was one new segment I wanted to do after each episode. Maybe in future episodes we'll see if I do it after we talk about everything, but for now I'm going to do it after each episode.
Shoot.
I call this ding 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 the color times, because as briefly alluded to before and like mentioned a bit in the episode, Ultraman has a thing on his chest called the color timer.
Are we keeping track of what times the timer runs out?
Yes.
Anno invented
yes,
nothing,
let's go.
by the way. I just want to throw that in again.
Yeah, there is a very particular reason on like because I don't think this show gives Ultraman like a set like time limit.
He doesn't have the Ava timer.
Yeah, I'm just saying the Ava timer definitely came from somewhere.
Yeah.
I did want to note, there's a point, and I can't remember if it's the first episode or one of the other two, where they point out, because I assumed at first, when he runs out of energy, he becomes small again or whatever, and the narrator's just like, if Ultraman runs out of energy, he's just fucking dead, is the implication, and I was like, oh, well... Now I know it's never going to happen. Thanks.
Yeah. So I don't have like the exact. I didn't actually do the thing where I subtract the minutes from each other. But like in this episode, Ultraman he's transformed from 20 minutes 18 seconds to 23 minutes and 36 seconds. Where the fuck is a calculator?
I was like, I hope you got the numbers. I ain't doing that.
It was very funny to me though how they were like, oh, we need this timed we need this timer to add to the tension and also like make sure that the fights don't like have a good reason for why the fights don't last too long, and it's like I really wish it was just, he becomes small again, because then I would have an actual, like, worry of, like, this could actually happen in the show, but if it's just his lifespan, I'm like, oh, well, that immediately takes away presence.
Later shows do just make it like he just loses the power.
Okay.
Like, it isn't a dead thing. Because, one of those actually creates tension.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it is 3 minutes, 18 seconds.
Okay, so we got... He can do 3 minutes 18 seconds.
And then we'll see how it goes for the rest of every other show.
Fantastic.
It is very funny just seeing like noticing that the time sure does run out. They sure do have to Ultraman transform within the last like 5 minutes of this episode only.
I do think it was funny how he's like, I'm almost out of energy, and then starts to fly right into the sky.
How does Hayata get back down?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry, yeah.
I like the idea that Ultraman just goes into the sky, transforms, and Hayata's just like, just Wile E. Coyote's back to Earth.
The thing is, every Ultraman does this. They just like, my timer's running out. Leave. The fight's over, and then they just guy comes off screen.
Oh, hey, what's up? Did I miss anything? Did something happen?
This is just a franchise tradition.
Excellent. Well, on that note, do we want to get into... Okay, one of these episodes, I wrote way more. I tried to keep my summaries within a page of A4. The second episode has a lot happening in it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about episode 2 of Ultraman. Shoot the Invaders. That's what it's called.
Ooh, I saw that title and I immediately was like, we're gonna talk about some alien invasion shit, huh?
The thing is, it starts to gesture towards the idea that it's like, no, we should not shoot the... Anyway, Ide... yeah?
Let's just get on.
Yeah. Ide has a massive black eye and wants to tell us, the viewers, the story of how he got it. We journey back in time by about 48 hours. It's the middle of the night. Ide in the top bunk can't sleep because Arashi is snoring like hell in the bottom bunk. We are far from Bert and Ernie mode. Ide has managed to count over 12,000 sheep, which at 1 sheep per second means, at a rough guess, he's been going at this for over 3 hours.
Damn.
The alarm wakes Arashi up. Stand by for action. Investigating a UFO sighting, Arashi finds people in one particular building frozen in time. He encounters an alien with built-in beam attacks on its arms and strange duplication or perhaps illusionary abilities. Arashi is hit by an alien beam and becomes frozen in time, just like the other victims. At an emergency meeting, the SDF guys suggest shooting the aliens with missiles, and Captain Muramatsu suggests diplomacy. Ide, the king, has been practicing his alien languages and intends to communicate with the aliens. However, he is to be sent in alone, and he's a bundle of nerves. He gets some advice from Hayata, but little actual help. Despite his nerves, Ide manages to arrange a discussion, and Hayata meets him on the roof, where they face Arashi. The alien, who identifies himself as one of the Boltons, is using Arashi's body to facilitate communication. The Bolton, or I guess Bolton, it seems, whether it's like the name of this one guy or it's, the aliens, I can't quite remember. But the Bolton relates their story. The Boltons are refugees from their homeworld, which was ruined by scientists fucking with nuclear shit. Classic. They did not mean to land here, but rather their ship was damaged. This was only going to be a pit stop for repairs, but this place isn't so bad. The Boltons would love to live on Earth. Hayata's like, sure, easy. How many of you are there? And the Bolton says, 2 billion in suspended animation and shrunk down to microbe size on that invisible spaceship over there. Please don't shoot it. Ide doesn't really think there's space for 2 billion more people on Earth. My contention is they're already shrunk down to microbe size. Can they not do... Anyway.
Yeah, I guess someone has bought into the 1/8 project, huh?
Yeah. Hayata asks if Mars would do, and a cool thing happens where the Boltan slips up on the motor control of Arashi as he mouths the unspoken answer to this question. From his support position, Muramatsu concludes the Boltans can't live on Mars because they are vulnerable to spacium, and there's loads of spacium on Mars. Note, Ultraman's crucifix cannon is actually a spacium beam. It's not called the crucifix cannon. The Boltan intends to take over Earth, and Hayata intends to wipe out an entire alien race in episode 2. He He stabs. First of all, he does the coolest shit. He stabs the Boltan by throwing a knife at its shadow. And then after some shenanigans, they transform and fight in big mode. This fight's pretty cool. It's like all in like in an industrial area, and like there's Ultraman shoots Boltan with the Spacian beam in a really cool way. He's like ducks under him and like pivots and shoots up into the sky as Boltan's flying overhead. It's cool. I'm a fan of this fight. I'm kind of sold on Ultraman as the fight show after this one. Then, oh yes, so Ultraman wins, no surprise, with a helpful hand from the SDF, who were just correct all along to want to just launch missiles. Lamau. Then Ultraman decloaks the invisible Boltan spaceship filled with over 2 billion sleeping refugees who, as far as we know, may have had no idea about that one Boltan's plan to conquer Earth. Then Ultraman pushes it out of the atmosphere and fucking blows it up. Back in the present, Ide's like, cool story, huh? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, right, my eye. Yeah, I was real tired after all that and snored a bunch and fell out of bed. Oops. The end.
Xenocide, yay!
This episode was disorienting.
It was so much. I was thinking about something we wondered a few weeks ago, about how you managed to pay for a 49 episode long version of Ultra Q, but this time you don't have the variety to sometimes not do a person in a giant expensive kaiju outfit. Like, even accounting for returning Ultra Q ones, it was like, that's a lot of fucking money. So when this alien guy revealed there were 2 billion other Boltans on the ship, I was like, okay, I see where this is going. We're getting more Boltan episodes. This is how you don't go bankrupt. You have them as recurring villains. And they're so cool because all that fucking weird effect shit and like the freezing people thing is like really sick.
The after image stuff looks really good.
Yes.
Yeah,
so of course you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like for a big part of this episode, I felt like the episode plot itself was kind of whatever, not as interesting. But I was like, oh, the Bolton effects though.
Yeah, like they're so cool that you don't just want to waste them on one episode, right? So naturally, they're gonna bring them back because Ultraman's gonna like beat this one guy and be like, don't you do that again, bad. And then the Boltons are gonna try again. But no, he doesn't. Ultraman just kills them all. Incredible.
Yeah.
Genocided an entire race.
Again, I mentioned it before. This felt like an extreme, like, Old Testament parable.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Go on.
No. I was gonna get into some. You go ahead.
I was just gonna mention the thing we didn't talk about, where like, Hayata gets knocked out and like has to like grab the beta capsule and then it falls because it's unbalanced. And then it falls onto the windowsill below, and he's like, well, here goes nothing. And then he just like screams and then jumps off the window and then jumps off the roof, grabs the beta capsule and transforms.
This is pretty hardcore. I was like, I skipped this out of the summary because it was like only partially relevant, but really cool. I was like, oh hell yeah, let's go.
Now, is he drinking the goop to turn into Ultraman in the capsule, or does he just like hold on to it and squeeze? I don't know.
What?
There's no goop in the capsule. What are you talking about?
There's
say
like
that again.
There's like goop in the capsule. I'm not making this up.
Goop in the
What
is
the
there
fuck?
goop in the capsule?
He's just pressing the button. It's like a flash of light thing.
I could have sworn. Wait, oh my god, no! I'm seeing a picture of it. I could have sworn it looked like there was a capsule full of goop this whole time. Oh man, I'm sorry. Like
he's taking a swig of it. Like,
okay, but like, you know how it's like kind of green? I thought there was green goop in the capsule.
Oh, okay. He's drinking
No,
like liquefied Tiberium.
seeing like a high quality picture of this. This is a device with a button on it. I thought it was like a capsule full of green goop. I am so sorry.
I like the idea that one day he's just gonna run out of green goop and he's gonna be like, well, no more Ultraman.
This is definitely the Ide stuff was like shifting the show more into comedy.
Mm-hmm.
which is like I feel like it's setting the tone for what we can expect from Ultraman probably. It was very weird where he turned just having him talk to the camera, and then like a flashback, and then he also talks to the camera. I'm like, how does time work? That's me cinemasizing it, but it was just one of the things like, well, that's it just felt weird because like I'm not used to that after like Ultra Q.
It definitely does cement though that this is a show for kids in a way that I feel like Ultra Q was family programming. Like this is talking directly to the camera, like winking and smiling. A little bit more. I mean, Ultra Q absolutely, like, there was a fucking Looney Tunes robber chase in like episode 6 of Ultra Q. Let's not pretend that show didn't have its moments too. But
Ide was in it.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's why they got him back. They're like, okay, you can do this shit. But this absolutely is a show made for kids in a way that I think Ultra Q was not. And that's not a bad thing. But it definitely is a different vibe that took some getting used to.
Yeah, I like Ide's the one that I've got an attachment to. The rest of them are just kind of like blank slate guys at the minute. But Ide, like him going
like,
back and forth from the
Arashi's
door
got like some
back
stuff
to
going on,
Hayata.
but it's mostly Ide. Being the Ippei of the group,
and also too,
yes.
I guess not so much this.
We just like
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. We just like Ippeis.
Yes,
that's just what we like.
We do. I don't have a lot of like opinions on like the cast so far, and I'm almost like I want to wait until episode 6 to see how much they're actually going to be given like personalities in that way. Like I hope it's not the case that it's just like, oh, we got the goofy guy and everyone else is just kind of there.
Yeah, like I think like Arashi at least has like some stuff going on in terms of like bouncing thing off a bit. Like he has a personality. I like the bit where he was like so in a rush to suit up and he forgot he was still wearing slippers.
Yeah.
But so far, like Hayata is hero, Akiko is girl, Hoshino is kid, and the other guy,
Muramatsu is like just
Muramatsu is just like
boss guy. Yeah.
Boss.
I do something I did notice, and it concerned me a little bit, and I hope we don't lean into it too hard, but they definitely paired Akiko and Hoshino off as if like, oh, like obviously there's a little kid around, we'll have the woman look after him, and I'm just like, I hope those two aren't squared away the entire time.
Yeah, I forgot this episode has like Hoshino just sneaking into Arashi's car, and then he's just like, "What are you doing here?" And he's just like, "Well, you can't get rid of me now." He's like, "Yeah, I can't."
Man, yeah. Here's the thing. There's stuff here in this episode I don't like, but the energy of it is so wild. It's like stepping back into Voltes 5 territory of whatever this episode believes is incredibly evil, but also I'm having a great time.
The thing is, my experience based on like future Ultraman stuff did have me believe that Ultraman was not going to genocide those people.
See, well, they gesture at it. Like, part of the gag is like, oh, we're going to try to talk to it. And there's like a general discussion, and then just we resolve it with complete xenocide of an alien species.
Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just lost it because I was like, what?
Ichinotari smiling off in the distance as 2 billion
absolutely.
life forms die.
Right. Also, the context of things matters, because like last night I watched Alexander Nevsky, which is a 1938 Soviet. This is a very different level of filmmaking. 1938 Soviet historical war movie about Prince Alexander Nevsky, who led the Kievan Rus against the invading Teutonic Order. Like, basically, it's a movie made in 1938 about how the Germans are coming and we're going to kill them. And so that is extremely a propaganda. It's made by the Battleship Potemkin guy, but it's extremely like when a Japanese studio makes the story about how these the pesky aliens coming to invade our land. It's like,
these days.
No, the vibe is different. But yeah, it's I nonetheless I was so staggered that I think I come around. It loops back around from so evil to like, okay, so we're in. I'm in for some shit, huh? Oh man. Anyway, do we have anything else about episode 2 of Ultraman? I was about to say Ultra Q.
The timeline where the Boltons move into Japan and they're like, these days just being Japanese is a liability.
The Boltons could just be small. They could just live in the 1/8 project.
Yeah, can't believe we turned into pro 1/8 project people for the Boltons specifically.
Yeah. They, you know, also the thing where like they're all asleep and it's just this one guy who's like, we're going to take over Earth. I've made the executive decision.
Yeah, what if it was like a General Zod situation where it was just that guy was a prick?
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
Anyway, our Color Times update for this episode.
Go for it.
2 minutes 28 seconds.
Okay. Was he? Did it feel like he was gonna run out soon?
I'll be honest, I forgot. It's been a bit since I watched this.
I think it's a little more involved because he had time to go off and commit genocide. So maybe he had more time in him.
It's a hard day's work.
Now, before episode 3, I just want to say we're gonna try. We did watch Shin Ultraman. We're going to try not to spoil a bunch of Shin Ultraman because I realize watching Ultraman first is actually the definitely right order to watch those in, and I don't want to punish anyone for actually being sensible. But just know, there's some guys in Ultraman that we will be popping off for entirely based on, seeing them in Shin Ultraman. That is just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Anyway. One of them in particular. Episode 3 is called Science Patrol Move Out. It's at this point in the summaries that I realize I had completely forgotten to mention Hoshino at all. The SSSP has a mascot kid who wants to put himself in every dangerous situation there is. Fuji and Hoshino investigate a well near a power station. People have reported strange noises coming from the well, and Hoshino takes the plunge. At the bottom of the well, he sees a giant eye. The monster... Yeah?
I'll be honest, when I saw this eye, I thought, oh shit, is that Gomez? And I was disappointed, but also not disappointed, because
this is a Gomez-ass episode.
Yeah, so this monster erupts out of the ground, but it can't be seen. It's invisible to the human eye, and it destroys the power station. The SSSP deploy to retrieve Fuji and Hoshino, and then set to work on a plan to destroy the kaiju they name Neronga, after a local legend of a beast that was defeated and sealed underground. It seems that Neronga absorbs electricity, and so they lead the SSSP leads the SDF to the largest nearby power station to wait for Neronga. Now, the idea behind where Neronga's backstory is so it's sealed underground, the power station gets set up, but because Neronga absorbs electricity, it gradually grows and grows and grows. Do I have that right? Is that what?
Yes, he was sealed underground specifically because he was defeated by a samurai, which I like.
Oh,
that's some good lore.
Fantastic. Cool. So the ensuing battle at the power station sees much destruction, and in his desperation to see some action, Hoshino steals Arashi's heavy weapon, the Spider Shot, and faces Neronga himself, using up the Spider Shot's charge and damaging one of Neronga's eyes. The effect of this is pretty cool. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Hayata must rescue Hoshino, and once he has brought the kid to a safe spot, he transforms into Ultraman to do battle with Neronga. The fight's alright. Plenty of stuff to wreck. Anyway, Ultraman fires the beam, obliterates Noronga. The SSSP watches in appreciation as Ultraman flies away, except for Ide, who is like, bro, what the fuck is up with Ultraman? Who is that big man? And Hayato shows up like, I don't know. It seems strange. Anyway, yeah, the end. Less happening necessarily in this episode, but Noronga is pretty cool.
This was my favorite of the bunch, honestly. And part of that might be because it feels like it was stapled together from Ultra Q like, this is just the, we dug too deep and awoke and go mess thing, combined with the, it sucks up power
Pagos.
from Pagos, the Rainbow's Egg monster.
Yeah. And this is your thing, right? You like it when it's we dug too deep and we ruined the land and now it's come for vengeance.
Yes, I enjoy the fury of Gaia's coming down upon us in the form of some monster that humanity failed to consider or even understand could exist. Also, too, I feel like this was the episode here, and I guess this is actually a good... So, how deep are you two into scale modeling as, like, a pastime or hobby? I don't know if either of you have experience with that.
You mean besides Gunpla, or?
I mean, yeah, like, Gunpla's definitely... I mean, that's how I got into it.
I've only done some.
I am 0, basically.
Okay. Because, like, that is something over the years. I got into it just, I picked up an Iron-Blooded Orphans kit. And I was just like, fuck it, I'll finally try one of these things or whatever. That slowly grew into me being like, oh, what if I hand-painted these? And, branched out and, like, all sorts of fun stuff. But it's quickly developed into one of my favorite pastimes, and, something that I really appreciate the artistry for a lot. And that is something that as you get deeper into that hobby, you start to understand how much of it and how much crossover it has with filmmaking and specifically people that had to do practical effect works. Like, all of those people doing stuff for those old Star Wars movies and all that too contributed a lot to this hobby and, like, different, like, paint types and, like, figuring out the best practices to make these sorts of materials and make them look good and like make them look like they're believable. So seeing all of that work being done for these sets and having them be used to serve a narrative purpose was really cool for me personally. And just like I had an appreciation for the craft on display here.
Yeah. Him doing like a full like Matador just like Olay as the as Noronga flies by into the power plant or whatever. Very funny.
Yeah.
Completely destroyed that entire power plant.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Difference of opinion between this episode and that episode of Ultra Q with Balloonga. Which is, in this episode, it's like, well, we can't shut off the power to Tokyo. And Balloonga's like, the world's gonna fucking end. Shut off the power to Tokyo.
Ano invented nothing.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I do like this episode. I like Ultraman. I'm happy. I like it.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny that, like, you know, Hoshino gets injured, so Arashi and Hayata go and rescue him, and then Hayata's just like, here, take the kid, I gotta go do something. And, like, Arashi's like, what? Okay, be careful. And then, like, Hayata just runs forward, turns into Ultraman, and then no one questions anything about, like, any of this. Except for Ide, I guess, being like, something's up.
Yeah. Ide is like, now, I'm not smart enough to figure out what's happening here, but I know something is happening here. I hope that it stretches our belief as thin as it can possibly go. I hope it gets really stupid with how obvious it is that Hayata is just Ultraman.
Oh yeah. I hope they never realize.
Hey Hayata, how do you know all these specific facts about Ultraman? I don't know, we exchange letters, I guess.
I take his I'm Peter Parker taking his photos for him.
Like episode 1, it just has like him talking like, "Hey, did Ultraman leave though?" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry. I'm sure he'll be here for some time." Wink.
How do you know that, Hayata?
Oh yeah. There's one thing I forgot to mention about episode 1 that was funny to me. It's just like when Ultraman collides with Hayata's ship in the beginning, you see them colliding, and then it cuts to the campers like seeing the explosion happening off screen, and then it just cuts to the orb and plane unceremoniously just being dropped onto the
It's fantastic. Hang on, I'm realizing something. When Razin, when you said you're going to deliberately avoid watching Thunderbirds or Jerry Anderson stuff, does that mean you didn't watch the clip I sent of the beginning of Captain Scarlet where they speedrun Ideon?
No, you did. I did watch that.
Okay.
I just mean sitting down and watching the show itself.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, the fucking... The moment the model planes came on screen and they had the funny little rocket jet flames coming out the back, I was like, oh shit, here we go.
If you want to know what the last show Super Raya worked on before he passed, after 7, look up Mighty Jack right now.
I'm looking at Mighty Jack right now.
Same.
This is a book. What is this? I'm gonna look up Super Raya. What is this? Oh my god!
Oh,
look at that fucking thing on the water. Look at those submarines. Oh my god! This is what it's all about.
This is a man who loves uniforms.
Absolutely.
Please don't pay attention to what he was doing as a career between 1938 and 1945.
He loves uniforms. Yeah.
Well,
we all saw that one episode of Ultra Q, the one truly terrible episode of Ultra Q. We know how he really feels deep down. He's a secret. He is Ichino Tani.
Fuck.
Ichino Tani is his self-insert.
damn.
Also,
on that sobering note,
yeah, let me just get our color timing.
Oh yeah. I immediately forgot. Go ahead.
3 minutes 4 seconds.
Okay.
I feel like maybe doing this after each episode is maybe a bit cumbersome. We can workshop this.
Okay. Yeah. We can hit it at the end of episodes. We get the direct comparison with all 3. I think that'll work. Yeah. I think that'll be a good idea.
The podcast process live, except...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to say about Ultraman?
I'm having a good time so far. I can already tell, will this probably be my jam in the same way Ultra Q was? No, but that doesn't mean this is bad. This is all right.
I hope you enjoy it for the sake of this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I'm committed, right? It would be a real bummer if I did not like any of these episodes and I was just like, oh god. But honestly, I would say maybe I should reserve judgment. I've only seen 3 episodes of this compared to initial Kamen Rider. I think the fights in this look better than they do in the original Kamen Rider, and this was quite a bit before, so
I do remember watching a couple of fights quite a few episodes of the original Kamen Rider and thinking some of these fights are interesting.
The fights with the monsters in Kamen Rider are pretty decent, but when he's just fighting off hordes of goons with swords, it's kind of okay, I can take or leave these.
I remember the fights from the first episode of Go Ranger, which I watched yesterday, and that was alright.
Nice. At some point, it becomes mandatory for everyone in those suits to just know how to fight.
Yeah.
I don't know when that point is, but
for the record, I only watched the episode to commit to the bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good bit. I like the title you came up with as well. Sentai Segue, big fan.
Sentai Segue.
It's April 2nd when we're recording this for anyone listening to this years in the future. We're desiring context. We did a little April Fool's. Well, actually, Mel did a little April Fool's. It was.
I didn't put in any effort.
The ultra cute logo being blasted by the Ultraman logo made that so easy.
Yes. Yeah. It was a very easy transition. All right. Well, unless we have anything else to say about Ultraman, do we want to just go straight into plugs?
We should talk about emails.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
we have emails.
Yeah, we do.
Let's go.
A couple emails. So to begin, it's Thomas again. So thank you. He says they say thank you again to the best podcast of the Unbalanced Zone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He says by the time you read this, imagine the pause will either be at the end of Ultra Q, which they said they'll miss. Me too. Or the first episode of Ultraman. It is. Question for this week: which of the recurring human characters, like Jin, Ippei, Yuriko, or Ichantani, was our favorite? What about the kaiju? We did the rankings. I'm sure you've listened to that already. They said they're enjoying the podcast. They were listening to it while doing delivery for their job in their rural town, and they are enjoying it and just having a good time enjoying it. So
nice.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Thomas.
you.
Yay, thank you.
So let's who of the Ultra guys from Ultra Q do we like the most?
Here's the thing. Jun is so cool.
Yeah.
Jun is very cool.
June is my answer as much as I enjoy all of them.
His actor, something that I've heard said and have said myself about the original Kamen Rider is like, this could be the most generic thing in the world, but the guy playing Kamen Rider just fucking has it. Jun's actor has it. He's got it.
He has really good expressions.
Yeah. I feel like at first I was definitely like more of an Ippei person, but like I definitely like really like Jun by the end.
Mm-hmm.
I especially like those last few episodes with like him dealing with like the boxer guy, just like
yes.
Basically, like at first in the first few episodes, I just thought he was hero guy, but later he became like an actual character, and that was cool.
Yeah, his thing with Joe is really good.
He's just committed to getting things done, and it's very appreciated.
Sometimes you have to knife fight a monster or a giant spider.
Sometimes you have to punch a guy so you can take care of the missile yourself.
Yes.
So knife fighting spider Samwise Gamgee Jun doing the handshake.
If only we had a pilot on the stranded airplane. Well.
Oh yes, hell yeah! Marching up to the God, the Ultra Q's so good. Once again, if you're listening to this because you're like, Ultraman's the thing. Ultraman's the big thing that everyone talks about. I'm gonna watch Ultraman. Stop. Go watch Ultra Q. Do it. It's a good show. But yeah. Did you say we had a second email?
Yeah. We got an email from James, also known as Geek in the Shell.
Hello.
They said they may be a bit behind, but also this email was from 12 days ago, so they're probably caught up now.
We took a break.
Yeah.
They say some of their favorite moments were. They say one of the episode that starts with an upside down shot of Fuji, then instantly cuts to Ippei's ass.
I do not remember which episode that is, but it might be SOS Mount Fuji. I don't know.
It might be Goro and Goro. I don't know. Talking about the face of the turtle episode, etc.
Excellent.
Question: what are your 3 favorite kaiju? Again, see previous episode. What was your least favorite episode? I feel like this is.
Let me tell you about that fucking octopus.
Listen, it wasn't the octopus's fault.
It wasn't. The octopus is extremely not at fault. The octopus is doing exactly what it was meant to do, what the islanders wanted it to do, and sometimes it takes a kid, and that happens sometimes. Disaster strikes.
Yeah.
you live.
I read that maybe not only was like Sudar borrowing like the suit from the octopus from King Kong versus Godzilla, but may have just been borrowing footage too. And I don't know how true that is, but if so, that's really funny.
That is funny.
Incidentally, the octopus also in a questionable tropical island, Pacific Islands context.
If I had to without referencing what my list was, if I had to just off the top of my head just say my 3 favorite kaiju from Ultra Q, number 1 is still Goga. Absolutely, that snail is the coolest snail I've ever seen in my life.
I fucking love that snail.
Number 2 is probably I don't know, like maybe Balloonga. 3 is probably Baron Spider.
I feel like mine is like Goga, Pegula, Kanagon, or something like that. Just off the top of my head.
I think mine is Kanagon. I know Kanagon and Pegula are absolutely like my top 2. If I had to pick a third, I feel like it's really hard for me to choose between Garamon and Khmer, but if I had to pick, I think it'd be Garamon.
No, wait, no,
I forgot about Garamon.
I feel like Khmer is also maybe up there. Fuck, I don't know.
I think Khmer was my third, but I think realistically, I think Garamon is more of a Rasen guy than Khmer is.
I might
it's
like
such a
Khmer.
strenuous task to think about because Ultra Q is stacked. With
They're so
kaiju.
different.
Khmer is so cool. Fucking.
It's like, do you want pizzas or tacos
Challenger
tonight?
from 2000. Challenger
Right.
from 2020. It's like fucking amazing episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Well, thank you for the email. Giving us the opportunity to reminisce again about how cool Ultra Q is.
If you want to email us, you can send an email at ultraqpod@gmail.com.
Now we're just well and truly into plugs. I can just say, if you want to follow the show, you can do so at ultra_q. That is at ultra_QUEUE. That's a little less confusing now that we're not in the show called Ultra Q. But if you want to follow me, you can do so on Twitter at gender_redacted. If I started using co-host for real, I'm at November on co-host. I nabbed that early. And I am posting about trying to get into Age of Empires 2 for real, like I dreamed I could when I was a tiny baby playing Age of Empires religiously, but being terrible at it. So I am, making my way through Age of Empires 2, having a weird time navigating the relationship between the fact that there's an HD edition that is like a remaster of the actual original game, and then there's the definitive edition, which is a remake and looks worse. But is the version that has multiplayer that everyone plays, and it's like, well, and then I already owned the HD edition, but it's like, I don't know, I do want to play the multiplayer eventually, but anyway. Surely this will not kick off its own weird falling down into an RTS rabbit hole. Anyway, I have been listening to Hell March from Command & Conquer Red Alert on Pete. Because I'm just
when
like...
When is your StarCraft arc?
I had a fixation on the idea of playing StarCraft 2. I watched so much StarCraft 2. This is pre, Heart of the Swarm, like the first expansion to StarCraft 2. I bought the game. I had like a physical copy. It's got this. I don't know if you've ever seen the physical copies of StarCraft 2. They got the front cover like opens up into like a 3-panel spread of a battle. It's the sickest thing in the world. And then I put the game in. I play it. And I have a miserable time online, and it kills my fixation dead immediately.
Damn.
I mentioned this on co-host. I didn't realize Legacy of the Void had released until like a year afterwards, was how out on StarCraft 2 I was after playing it for a bit.
Wow.
Because I just wasn't good at the game, and it's a game that is because it's a 2-resource RTS, and it's just its competitive scene was so alive and kicking that going online was not safe. It was not safe, and I did not have a good time. And it felt like a real solved game. In a way that Age of Empires 2 probably is a solved game, but because it's 4 resources, there's a lot of like build variety, and there's a lot of also there's, but then you don't have the asymmetry, and it balances out. RTSs are not RTSs are unbalanced.
Damn.
But I'm having a good time with Age of Empires 2. I'm playing the campaigns and training against the AI, and then I'm gonna go online eventually, and then gonna play Red Alert 3 because that game seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd like to play RTS games at one point. I've only played Pikmin.
I played Age of Empires 2 quite a bit as a kid, but just the single player, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And eventually I'd get bored and use the cheat code where you can get cars and stuff. That was Age of Empires 2, right? With the cars?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure.
The cheat was how do I drive this thing or something like that?
Oh, that sounds familiar. It was that in Zoo Tycoon. I spent a lot of time on.
I had to use a cheat. I had to use Marco Polo because of one of the fucking Saladin missions. You have to defeat an enemy entirely, and they had one dock in a corner of a map somewhere, and they had fishing ships and transports, and it's they're not building anything. You've lost. Resign.
Damn. I have memories of this Age of Empires game on DS that was more like a tactical RPG than a strategy.
What?
Yes, it was like a grid-based, turn-based thing.
It was on the DS.
Age of Kings Nintendo DS.
Yes, that was it. I have a copy of that. I remember playing that a lot as a kid too. And it has story modes and shit.
Isn't there I feel like isn't there a DS sequel to Final Fantasy 12 that is also an RTS on?
Yes. Revenant Wings.
I did not know that.
I feel like there was another I also want to say there was a Mana sequel that was an RTS.
Yes, that game sucks. I had that.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Was Revenant Wings good?
I do not remember. I borrowed that one from a friend. I didn't own it, if I recall.
I mean, I still need to play FF12.
I like 12. It's a good time.
I'm still in the middle of 6, so I won't get to 12 for a while. I'll talk more about 6 next week or something. But yeah.
Trivia about Age of Empires 2. The reason I watched Alexander Nevsky is because the Teutonic Knights are based on how the Teutonic Knights are portrayed in Alexander Nevsky.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
In other words, evil. The worst. They're, Crusader Order, obviously.
Well, yeah.
The worst.
Yeah, that tracks.
I do feel like if you're going to pick what is a villain that's German and has the goal of genociding and colonizing the Slavic people,
you can it maps pretty well onto what they were going for there.
Yeah.
I don't know about the bit in that movie about the Mongols because it's it doesn't map with what Alexander Nevsky actually did in real life. He's oh yeah, if we'll beat the Teutonic Knights and then we'll beat the Mongols, and it's you did not do that in life. You fought Russians
this is even more baffling
to maintain loyalty to the Mongols.
Because at the Soviet Union, Central Asian republics were part of the Soviet Union. So what are you doing?
Yeah, very strange. Very strange. Anyway, maybe I'm missing a bit of Russian history where the Kievan Rus actually did have to fight off the Mongols because they were at that time they were loyal to the Golden Horde.
I mean, yeah, that was what caused the Kievan Rus to fall, was the Mongol invasion. But...
Well,
anyway, Razin, you
brief,
have plugs, right?
Yeah, brief history lesson aside, Razin.
I'm at RosinBrand on Twitter and also co-host. I don't know what the last thing I posted on co-host was. I should get back to that because honestly, alternatives to Twitter are good and worth supporting. I'm just bad at it. I am continuing to stream Resident Evil on YouTube. I did want to try to do it all and get ready in time for 4. That didn't fucking happen. Work immediately became a pain in my ass, and then also I had a friend stay last weekend, and I was busy with that, so I haven't really been streaming or doing much or all that, but hoping to get back on track with that. I know I say this literally every episode and it never happens, but you know, fucking life is a thing. So, yeah. You know what? I've said this before on this podcast. You know what I'm gonna fucking do when I'm done here? I'm gonna
What are you gonna do?
grab lunch because I'm starving. I'm gonna fucking finish that Elden Ring Let's Play. It's been too long.
Yeah, you're gonna do it.
I'm gonna do
This
it.
time,
I'm gonna
I
do it
believe.
this time.
Yeah. Well, if that's everything, I think we'll call
I have-
that an episode. Oh no, I missed. Yes, sorry, because you opened with the emails. I got
Yeah.
confused. Go ahead.
I just
No.
figured that it makes more sense to put the emails before the plugs, but
Yeah, this is true.
you can find me at my on and off existing Twitter at Dear Crowns. I have a Twitch, which I've been Cosmic_Crown, which has been me doing FF6 and Paper Mario lately. I have a co-host too. I'm semi-active. I don't post much of substance on there. But the problem with my co-host is I thought I would be clever, and for some the @ for my co-host is different than my Twitter by like 2 letters basically, and now I'm just like, how do I explain this? Anyway, it's at Dear Crown in camel case, not to be confused with at Dear Crown on Twitter, which is all lowercase and with an S at the end.
Well, rip.
I'm waiting for co-host to let me change my @
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll happen, but
Maybe one day. Cool. Well, I think that's an episode. Next week, we are back. Airing on Thursdays.
Everybody.
Yep. that fucking tweet's so good.
I did good work in the past.
You did. We have 3 more episodes of Ultraman next week, next Thursday. Join us next time for that. Yeah.
So that's episode
See ya.
4 to 6.
4 to 6. Bye-bye.
Bye.